Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico at the Creativity Cave, and I have two beautiful cards to share with you, both featuring fall floral colored cards. And I want to say that these cards are so pretty and easy to do, but they're with sets that are kind of spring sets, I think. And so just by changing up the colors, you can really get a very beautiful effect. So we've got a simple one and then this a little bit more complex one. So I'm going to show you how to put them together because they're really easy. Now, all of the dimensions, colors, and supplies that I've been using on these cards can be found on my blog. There's a link, boom, right here in the description of this video that will put you to my blog post with all of the photos and everything, as well as links to my online store. And of course, you're going to want to make these cards, and I would love it if you would help me by purchasing those supplies through my online store. Okay, I'm featuring two of my favorite sets, Abstract Impressions and Pop of Petals. I love both of these sets because they're so easy to use. The Abstract Impressions is just super easy to stamp with. It's great for a beginner and it makes beautiful, beautiful cards. The Pop of Petals I love because it comes with a punch and you can do lots of fun things with it, and there's some really great pieces that you can add to your stamped images. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I got to protect my work surface because I'm not going to lie, I get a little messy when I stamp. Now, my first card, I'm actually going to show you, I made a mistake on this, but I thought it was pretty anyway, so I didn't throw it away and start over. I stamped these flowers back here in yellow, but I stamped them over here in crumb cake, and I way liked them better in crumb cake. So I just thought I'd point that out. You probably didn't even notice that there was an issue with this card. Okay. So I've got my piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to start with my, let me show you my color combination. I'm going to take out the Cajun craze for this card. I've got Berry Burst Crushed Curry, Old Olive, Early Espresso, and Crumb Cake. So I'm going to start by stamping the large flower in Berry Burst, which is such a pretty, pretty color. And I'm just going to stamp off the first layer of my more solid flower, and I'll just stamp that right there. And likewise, I'm going to stamp off this one over here. I've got a little fuzz on my stamp, but I don't think it'll matter because I have 2 steps to do on this one, so it's all good. So I've got my 3 flowers on there. Next, I'm going to take the more detailed piece and I'm going to line it up. Now, do you see this one little piece right there? That is going to coordinate with that piece right there. So lining it up is a piece of cake. I love that. And the fun thing about this set is even if it's not lined up perfectly, which actually I don't even know if there truly is a perfect way to line this up, it looks good anyway. That's my favorite part. Next, I'm going to add the smaller flower and the detail, and that will be in Crushed Curry. And this is another wonderful fall color. So just like before, I'm going to stamp off that first layer of ink so I get a nice light shade. And then I'll add the detail on top full strength. And likewise, I don't know if there's a good way to line this one up either. So there we go. Boom. All right, next I mentioned I did those dots in Crushed Curry on part of my card and Crumb Cake in the other part. We're going to do them in Crumb Cake on the whole thing this time. And just like before, I'm going to stamp off the first layer of ink because I really want this to be kind of a subtle effect. And I see I've got a big, these have been sitting out on my desk, so let me clean this really quick. I'll just grab my Stampin' Chamois. Give it a quick cleaning, and then it will be much better, I think. Okay. Yep, much better. All right, so, oh, actually, one more thing first. My apologies. I'm going to stamp the leaves, fill in the leaves a little bit, and look at what I just did with my finger. Goodness. Okay. So I'm going to do, there's 2 leaf pieces. There is a solid and a detail. So just like all the others, I'm going to do stamped off on my first piece, full strength on my second. And I love how this fills up my space nicely, adds some beautiful greenery, and is just a nice touch for my card. And then my detail, which will be full strength, just goes on top. And of course, just like everything with this set, it's so easy to stamp. You don't have to worry about getting it perfect, because there really isn't a perfect on this one, which I love. There we go. Now we're going to fill in with those crumb cake flowers. And this is where I really like it, because it just does fill up the space. So I'm stamping that off. And then this is kind of fun to just sort of fill in that white space so it's not empty. And doesn't that look nice? Very, very fall colory. There we go. I think that looks, oh, beautiful, but woo, luckily that didn't cause any problems. All right, now my sentiment that I'm going to use is from the stamp set Country Home. That's been a very popular stamp set. Many people have ordered it, and I have just loved this set. And one of the things I love about it are the sentiments that come in it. So I'm going to stamp this and come back to my blog tomorrow, because I'm going to have a card with the Country Home stamp set. So I'm just going to stamp that sentiment right on here. So grateful for someone like you in my life. Oh, I love it. And of course, November is all about gratitude. So this is a really great card to send to somebody. Now I'm going to take this and adhere it to a layer of early espresso cardstock to really pop that up. And then I'm going to give it just a little spritzing with my early espresso marker. I have actually gotten away from spritzing a little bit lately, and so it is time to come back. I love spritzing on cards, and we're going to spritz some more on this too. So I'm just going to put my marker in my cap and spritz. There we go. Got some good spritz marks on there. Now I'm also going to use another awesome spritzing, which is, I've got a Stampin' Spritzer. I've got Champagne Mist shimmer paint in here with some rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to just spritz this. I'm going about 12 inches away, and I'm going to do 2 squirts. You don't need tons. And then what you get is a beautiful shimmer on the whole thing. So it's a really nice touch to add to your projects. That's really simple. I'm also going to finish this off with a little bit of braided linen thread, or twine, or trim, or whatever this is called. It's the braided one. And this is going to kind of tie that crumb cake all together, which I love doing. Okay, sorry about that. There we go. And this is just a simple knot. You could do a bow if you wanted to, but I'm just keeping this card nice and simple. Now the shimmer paint is, because I'm sure somebody's going to ask, I put about a pea, a good sized pea, you know, like peas and carrots pea, in my spritzer, and then I fill it up with my rubbing alcohol. That's the amount. And basically once you spritz it, you'll say, ooh, that's a lot of shimmer, or ooh, there's not much. Maybe I should add some more. So it's not a fancy recipe. It's just kind of what you like. Okay, so you can see I've kind of frayed the ends there, and I think that looks really nice. Now I'm just going to pop this up onto my crumb cake card, and I'm done. And then we're going to make our fancy card. Our fancy card is beautiful. I love it. And I like giving you a couple options. So this is a nice simple card. You can make this without any fancy tools. And then our next card is a little bit more involved, but I think it's also very beautiful. So, and it uses basically the same color palette. I'm going to switch out one color. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to switch out one color in this one. That is the crumb cake. I'm getting rid of crumb cake, but I'm adding in my Cajun Craze, and I think that's another great fall color. Okay, so for this one, I'm using my Pop of Petals stamp set, and I've got a old olive card base, and then I have embossed it with the tin tile embossing folder, which is a must-have. If you don't have this, you definitely need it. It is so beautiful. I use it on all kinds of stuff, and it is just a wonderful, wonderful embossing folder. Okay, so I've got that on my card base. Then I've got my stamp, oops, and I'm using a host set called Warm Hearted for the thanks, and this is a set that you can get if you have a purchase over $150 or if you host a workshop. You can get it for free with your host rewards or your Stampin' Rewards. I'm going to stamp the thanks on here in Early Espresso. I'm kind of putting it up and to the side a bit. All right, and that's a little crooked and it's going to bug me, so I'm going to try it once more. It's hard to do this through my camera. I think I've got it this time. Not bad. All right. Now I'm going to start by building everything with my, gosh, that is still crooked. But we're going to move forward. It's going to be okay, Dina. Okay. So I'm going to start by stamping the greenery right above, and then another one down below like so, really filling up that space. I'm going to add this, I don't know what this is, but it's like a little branchy thing. I love it. In Early Espresso, one up here and one down there. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Let me get this in the frame a little better. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this stamped piece so you can see better. Okay, then I'm going to add a couple of leaves. Now, all of these, with the exception of the thanks, everything is in the Pop of Petals stamp set, so that's kind of awesome. So what I'm going to do is stamp a leaf down here. Ooh, I'm going to stamp off a leaf right here. And then maybe one more over here. Okay, now you can see this isn't the prettiest look, but we're going to cover it up with those flowers, so it'll be great. All right, so I think I've got all my stamping done. Now I have also taken and embossed a little strip of very vanilla cardstock with that same folder, and I'm going to put it across here. I'll use my triple banner punch to punch the end. And this is a 3/4 inch strip that'll just go right across my card like this. And I think I'm going to have it extend all the way out. I didn't do that on my sample, but we'll do this all the way across and then just trim that end off when we're done. So I'm going right up to the bottom of the thanks. Okay? Oh, I'm so excited about this. All right, now let's set this aside for a minute and we're going to stamp our flowers. So I've got scraps of crumb cake and berry burst, and you can see I've already stamped a little bit. I'm going to take my flower, and on here I marked on my flower the correct leaf or petal that coordinates with my punch, so I know how to line it up easily for stamping. All right, so I'm going to stamp this in Berry Burst, punch it out, and then I'm going to punch one more Berry Burst that's not stamped. I don't need it to be stamped. And then I already did this one, so I'll quick punch this one out too, and then, like I said, an extra one. Okay, now I'm going to take that extra flower that's not stamped, and I'm going to use my bone folder. And I'm going to do the faux suede technique. If you've watched my videos, you know I do this all the time. It adds a really wonderful texture to your cards with this cardstock in between. So once those layers literally start to separate, can you see how they're starting to pull apart from one another? That's when you can finish the job. Ooh, and mine did not. Gosh. Mine didn't go so hot. Okay, so what that means is I didn't do it enough before I started to pull them apart. So let's do that once more, shall we? Okay. I'm getting so excited to put the card together. I prematurely pulled them apart. It's terrible. All right. I do love this technique though. Usually if you see it rip, you can do this a little bit more before you go too far and then you'll be okay. But now, look at that. That's much better. And it's pulling apart easier too. So now, because we're on a flower like this, you want to be a little careful so you don't rip a petal off by accident. But voila, so much better. All right, so let's put our flowers together. I always like kind of doing a little, I call it a little wiggle on each petal. That just gives it some dimension rather than it sitting flat. You can see the difference and it makes a much prettier card in my opinion. So I got my wiggle, then I'm going to adhere these layers together to create a beautiful flower. Okay, so I'm going to start by offsetting my two like so, and then I'm going to add another one. It's much easier to put the adhesive on the regular cardstocks than the suede side, because the suede side will just rip. It won't adhere right. Okay, and what this does is it creates a nice full flower for you, and then we'll just kind of scooch those. Okay, we'll do the same here. I have pre-done this flower, so it's ready to go. Oh, I love that. Okay, and now all we need to do, oh wait, we have one more thing to do, and that is we need to stamp two little flowers and cut them out. There's another stamp in here that will stamp these little flowers. So I'm just going to stamp one of those. There's 3 little flowers you can choose from. I like this one. And then we'll just trim those out real quick. So sorry, I thought I had that done ahead of time and then I realized I hadn't. That's okay. Now whenever I cut any kind of flower out like this, I always leave just a little bit of, I call it white space. Obviously this is colored cardstock, but just a little edge around the image so that if it's not exactly perfectly cut out, you won't notice it. Okay, so there's one of those, and then here's the other one. So this is Cajun Craze ink on Cajun Craze cardstock. All right, and then we're going to put everything together. Oh, this card is so pretty. All right, so I've got my piece of cardstock here. I'll trim that off. And then I'm going to set up my flower. I'm going to pop this one up, and then the other one I will put just right down onto my cardstock. So look at that. That's going to cover up all that goofy branchy stuff underneath. And then I'm going to do this one, and again, I'm going to kind of smoosh them in so they're overlapping slightly. And then we'll get, see, see, yeah, that's not good, but you know what, it'll actually stay in place just fine. As long as I can get my finger back. Okay, so there we go. That fit in there just fine. Oh, so pretty. Then we're going to add a couple of these flowers in, and I'm just going to kind of give them a little dimension. We'll use glue dots to adhere them. And then we'll finish it off with a few fun embellishments. So I'm just going to tuck those in right there. Now I'm going to use some gold faceted gems. And I love using my pick your tool to get these off and positioned. So I'm just going to put a couple on my card. I've got the small ones. I'm just going to add to my card just to kind of, woo, that one went flying. I'll get that in a minute. Just to kind of decorate the card, and then I'll use a medium-sized one to go in the center of these flowers, which are so pretty. Oh, I love them. Okay, doesn't that look wonderful? Now, the last thing I'm going to do, and you can mail this, it will definitely take extra postage though, because it's going to be pretty thick by the time we're done. Now, the last thing I want to do to this is really jazz it up with some more shimmer spray. Oh, and spritzing. So let me spritz this quick. There we go. And then I'm going to shimmer spray it as well. Okay, so I did 3 squirts, maybe one more. Oop. I think we got it. I just sucked in some of the rubbing alcohol. So the reason I use rubbing alcohol is because it will dry quicker than if it was water, which is really good. You want it to dry fast. All right, the last step to complete our card is we're going to just pop this up onto that beautiful card base with some dimensionals. And then I actually forgot one other thing on our first card, and I'll show that to you quick too. It was an embellishment that I just forgot to put on. I was so excited to show you this card. I just kind of kept going. Okay. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? So pretty. And then my other card, I actually need to add some, I have these adhesive back sequins and these kind of green matte ones I thought were pretty cool for this. So let me get my tool out, and I'll just position these kind of all over my card, and they just add a fun little touch. There's nothing fancy about them. Well, actually, there is something fancy. They make your card fancy. So there's 5. That's good. Odd numbers are good, and that just adds a nice little touch. So there you go. Thank you again so much for stamping with me today, guys. Please shop my online store if you need any of these beautiful projects items. I would so appreciate it, and I have a fantastic VIP rewards program I would love to welcome you to. Thank you again, guys. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.